Hey, hi, I'm Terry Murphy, and welcome to Women in Business. You know, it's really tough to stand out in the crowd out there in the marketplace, and yet we have expert and New York Times bestseller twice, Don Hutson, CSP, CPAE, and Hall of Fame speaker and author. He's authored or co-authored 15 different books, and his latest book is Standing Out from the Crowd. And there are so many great tips on differentiating yourself and all you offer in a competitive world, and boy, is it competitive today. Don, how do we stand out?
Well, we got to, number one, accept the fact that it's not easy, but we need to stand out in a very positive way, and it begins with our attitude and our demeanor and how we greet the customers and prospects. So we got to do everything in our power to make a positive impression that's differentiated from everybody else.
Well, I guess you could start with presentation skills. Communication is pretty important, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And one of the sections of the book deals with the idea that we must make sure we understand the 4 different styles of people. We call them behavioral styles, and how people respond to you, and things become predictable when you figure out which quadrant everybody's in. So we need to learn those 4 communication styles. There's driver, expressive, analytical, and amiable. And I just marvel at how people say, oh yeah, I've heard about all that stuff before, but then they do not use the expertise to sell different people differently. But the fact is, if you're going to stand out from the crowd, Terry, you've got to be a highly adaptable communicator. That means you want to be efficient with that bottom line oriented driver. You want to be rather excitable and enthusiastic with the expressives like you. And then with analyticals, you want to be studious in nature, accurate in your presentation, a little less excitable. And then with the amiables, you want to make sure you're agreeable because they have a low tolerance for conflict. So the key there is adaptability. So let's present ourselves as unique as best we can. We call that sui generis. That's the Latin term for one of a kind. And we want to do our best to be one of a kind in dealing with people with a compelling personality. The experts have often said that few things are more powerful than the contagion of a victorious personality. That's what we need to be. Let's have a can-do spirit and make sure we get into the arena with that prospect in a win-win way and a collaborative spirit to make it happen.
Well, when you're really good at what you do, which requires expertise and focus, people feel safe. And what happens is when you are gracious enough to connect with people in different styles and how they want the information and how they want to be communicated with, you get more connection, you get more sales, and your business grows.
That's absolutely true, Terry. You're right on target. And I think what we've really got to think in terms of doing is making sure we get into the space of that other person, not in an offensive manner, but in a spirited, positive, win-win manner of wanting to know a little bit more about them. So something like, I'm excited to tell you about our company and our services and what I might be able to do for you. But before we get into all that, is it okay if I ask you a few questions? People always say yes to that. And when they do, ask thoughtful questions. Ask a question that is so good that periodically your prospective buyer says, wow, that's a great question. I've never been asked that before. If you get a response like that, you know you're asking the right kind of question.
Well, one of your key tips is always to take notes.
Yeah, I'm big about that. Years ago, I learned from Jim Rohn, if something is important, work from document, not just thought. Why do you think when we go to real estate closings, people have to sign a stack of papers that high? Because it's important. The biggest investment most people make is in their home, right? So work from document. Especially when you hear a speaker or an author or someone talk about their works and share with you seminar content, always be a voracious note taker and you'll be able to get more out of it for a longer period of time. That increases the probability we'll develop some new habits and really get better.
Yeah, there's nothing more gracious than when somebody thinks you're really interested. So thank you so much. If you want to learn more about standing out from the crowd, Don, where can they get more information?
They could go to our website, donhutson.com, to our e-store, and all the options are there, even with discounts.
Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your sharing your wisdom. I'm Terry Murphy. This is Realty Times Women in Business. Thanks for joining us. Come back again.